Hello and welcome to another Doctor Who 4 figure review. This time I'll be reviewing Leela from The Face of Evil. This figure is the most recent release from Underground Toys, Forbidden Planet, Character Options, you know, all those companies put together. So I'll be reviewing this. First of all, let's start with the packaging just quickly. As you can see, it's a completely new design. You've got the more classic logo up there. You've got blue really as the main background, and this nice sort of diamond shape, which is very similar to that used in the mid to late 70s, the late Pertwee and earlier Tom Baker era. You've also got a new thing at the bottom here. You've got obviously the Doctor and what the figure is and what it is from. Very, very simple packaging. I have to say I prefer it much more, and I wish they had done something very similar previously, instead of using a sort of slightly adapted version of the Eccleston and Tennant packaging. Obviously it's a posable action figure. You can probably see me in the camera there. Reflection there. On the back they've changed it slightly so that you have the new logo. You also have the character there. That's fairly much the same. You also have the description as normal. You also have the Doctors going along there. Now, before I show you exactly what this is, you can't see it because the focus isn't quite right, but on mine I have the third Doctor, 1970 to 74, then you have labelled fourth Doctor, 1974 to 1981, fifth Doctor, 1982 to 1984, sixth Doctor, they have made a mistake on the dates. They said sixth Doctor, 1982 to 1986. Now I don't know whether anyone else has that or whether it's just me. Please tell me if yours has that on as well, or whether you noticed it. Just know whether it's just mine or what. It's probably on most, seeing as it's one like that. It's just printed on, so that's quite funny to know. So yes, I'll get this out of the packaging and we can have a look. Right, so onto the figure bit. As you can see, out of the box, she's got a pretty good likeness to Louise Jameson. Not perfect. I'm not saying that, you know, it's fantastic, but it is pretty good, and the proportions seem right, and the hair colour seems right, and she's got the right blue eyes, and the costume's quite nice. One thing I would say is that mine, when I took it out, the right leg, so this leg here, was dislocated. It literally had come out, meaning that every time you moved it, it just popped out. That's probably due to, you know, being bumpy in the van and things like that while being delivered, because of course it is fairly heavily articulated for something actually quite dainty. So what I did to sort that problem out is, and if you may have the same problem as well, is you boil a kettle, you put some boiling water into a bowl. You take the leg or the arm. It probably won't be an arm, seeing as they're sort of it's a different kind of joint. But the leg, and like often if you do customs and you do a head swap, you then dunk the leg into the boiling water. You just take it out, quickly pop it back in. It's a ball and socket joint, like a real hip, and just push it back in. And you leave it for a while, leave it to cool down, and it should be back in. I do now no longer have movement in that leg, and that's quite possibly to do with it being faulty. As you can see, this one moves a little, this one doesn't. The knees still move, and they're fine. So let's get on to a bit more articulation. The arms are very articulated. They move up to there. They're hindered by the rest of the shoulder. They also do 360. I'm not going to go all the way around because I have a funny suspicion it's fairly flimsy in a sense. The biceps do a 360. The elbows have movement. That's a bit loose. I'd warn you about that joint as well. This figure isn't one for rapidly playing with. I'd more buy this figure for display or for stop motion, but not heavy stop motion, which is a bit of a shame because Leela is meant to move a lot. There's no head articulation because of the hair. That's a shame, but the wrists do have movement, so that's all nice. Also the waist has articulation. However, the waist, as you can probably see, the top half of her body doesn't match with the bottom half. That's a bit annoying, because generally people don't have this, generally people don't have a line across there, but also generally people's bodies fit together, and I'm pretty sure Louise Jameson does. So, and it's the same on the other side, I think. On the other side you don't have hand articulation. Sorry, feeling a bit under the weather. Sadly the boots don't twist, as far as I know. I'm sorry. That's better. And that's a bit of a shame. Mind you, there is quite a lot of articulation. It's fairly flimsy. There's, it's pretty thin. So if there was any more articulation, it would be risky. So yes, let's just get on to the accessories. This is the crossbow, and I think, is that a dart that you can ping? Yes, I think so. It doesn't, it just sits there. That's fairly boring. She also has a knife and one of these guns from the Face of Evil, because of course she is from the Face of Evil, this specific one. So they're all in proportion as far as I know. Maybe the dart might be a bit thick, but yeah, you couldn't make that thinner. Right, so as far as I can make out, she can hold the knife, and it will go in her little holder there, which is quite cool. I don't think, can she hold the gun? It's difficult. Yep, she can hold the gun. Her hand's very small. She will, however, be shooting the ground. That's not brilliant. And a bit of a disappointment. She can hold the dart. Why she would want to hold the dart, I don't know. But the crossbow is a bit of a disappointment, really, because this is rather cool and actually really nicely sculpted for an accessory. But she can only really hold it in this hand, and she can't really put it across herself while holding it, as far as I can figure out. I mean, if you already have the figure or you have bought the figure, it's very, very difficult for her to hold it and point it at someone. She could just about do that. You could slot it in her hand there, but it's not brilliant. She can hold it at a really awkward angle like that, as shown in the publicity photo. But that's a real disappointment. That's a bit of a disappointment, because, the whole point of accessories is that she is able to hold them. I'm sure other characters are probably able to hold these guns and quite possibly the knife and possibly the crossbow, but seeing as I think it's only the Doctor that's been released so far actually uses one of these accessories. Of course the guns are used by other members of the Sever team, but none have been released and probably never will be released. So yes, the accessories are a bit of a disappointment. Yes, so now on to the really good bit, and probably the best bit of the figure, the detail. As you can see on the head, of course there is no articulation, but it looks fairly convincing that it is Louise Jameson. It's not brilliant, as I've said, but it's a pretty good likeness. The detail on the hair, I think, is correct. Quite often the hair moves a lot, and I think they have managed to capture that in a way that is solid. And it is the correct colour. Often in this story there's quite dark lighting, so I'm not quite sure what colour her hair properly is. In lots of 70s episodes it's very difficult to tell because of the lighting. This neckband seems to look quite cool. I think that is there. It probably is. They wouldn't have gone to the trouble of doing all that if it wasn't. The body, that's very nice. You may just think it is painted, but it is in fact moulded. It's a really good sort of musty, slightly dirty, muddy colour. The paint has got a textured material look to it. There's nice sort of engraving around here, around that. You've also got really nice sort of, as though it's been sewn in on her costume. The bit at the back is a bit disappointing, because of course they've probably used a really small underneath base and wrapped round a bit of plastic. So they've got the obviously the things that hold up her sort of dress thing, but there's this line at the back which is really not very good. It does continue on and things like that, but and it's a bit off centre as well, which is a bit annoying, especially the things there. That's been ruined a bit. But you do understand this is a very, very different sculpt from most other figures. So I think all other figures really. There's Astrid, I think that's about the other. And you've got Rose, but that's half and half really. But it is very different, so you can understand why they've done it like that. The bit at the bottom is really good. This is, apart from the head, this is possibly the best bit. Not a great angle here, I'm afraid. But the patterning on here, I think, is close enough to the original. It's nice. This bit at the back's tough, but you wouldn't really want to lift that up anyway, unless you were odd. You've got nice pouches and everything. Ooh, nice pouches and everything, and obviously another knife around here, and obviously the good holder there, and yeah, that's all really nice. The patterning is actually moulded in there. That's not just paint. And then you've got the boots, which are very, very nice indeed. These are pretty much exact, as far as I can recall. Don't often see people's feet, but the boots are nicely moulded. I think they're pretty much the shape they should be. They're a nice. The paint's nice and sort of varied. They look as though they've been worn and things like that. That's really nice. Detail-wise, this figure is brilliant, really. It's just a shame about the articulation. So, yes, oh god, mixed thoughts about this figure, really. Personally, I really like it, just because of, you know, I've been wanting a 4th Doctor Classic companion for quite a while, and finally getting one is good, whatever. The detailing's really nice, and if you're one for wanting to put things on display, a bit like I've done here, it's brilliant for that. And it does stand very, very well. Once it stood, and, you know, won't knock over unless you sort of flick it. However, if you're one for wanting to often play with figures and, you know, really move them around, I'd think twice, because for the price, which is £17, plus postage and packing if you're getting it online, ooh, you know, that could come up to about 20 quid more if online. So yeah, I think twice, really. It's a nice figure, detailing's lovely, but not really for moving around much, or really stop motion animation unless you're going to move around only a tiny bit. It does come with a lot of accessories, so if you're one for making stories and things like that, and you just want weapons and things like that, it's very, very good for that. But of course, you know, I wouldn't get it just for the accessories. I have to say that it does look quite nice alongside any 4th Doctors, so the one that came with the 11 Doctors set, it looks very nice along with, and this one I have here, the Pyramids of Mars, although they're not the exact 4th Doctor, they do look very good together. It also looks very good alongside Voc robots, and possibly any customs you make as well, if you're a customizer, and along the Sontaran experiment, Sontaran Steyr, although it's not exact from the Invasion of Time, it's near enough, so if you are one for wanting to do either stories or even photograph scenery creations or scenery creations that are stop motion, it would be pretty good for that, because it would look right. Yeah, it is just articulation that takes it back. So, thanks for watching this review. I hope you've enjoyed it. The next review I am probably doing will actually probably be a Talons of Weng-Chiang 4th Doctor, which was a bit of a surprise custom for me to make. It is made, and it's been made for ages. I haven't had any money for Romana, rather, because I wanted to get Leela. I'm also thinking of making an Adric out of a pig slave, so that should take a lot of work, but it is possible, and they may come before Romana. Romana may have to be after Christmas. Thanks for watching this review, and keep an eye out for more reviews coming soon.